The new slave talking like you got a master. Screaming free thought, free thought. All the greatest legends behind bars, they really talk. Everything I say is everything I really walk. Got it for the free though, if it wasn't what I really bought. Yeah. Pigeon pose. Only way we ever coming toe to toe. My Ivory Coast Congo blood got me dripping though. Yeah, I got juice, whoop, see I'm dripping though. Dollars circulate. Dollars circulate. Dollars circulate. Dollars circulate. Give the homeless homies money so they eat well. When and cop the Audi, gotta go and get it detailed. Drive don't depreciate the value of the resale. Still talking that shit in this mother like we eat-sale. Hold up. Mothership flow, bring the funk back.
I know what it is. Day 3, Fly Women Making History.
This for my nasty niggas asking where the hoes at. This gon' be the break we stop and make them do the soul clap. Dollars, hey, dollars circulate. Dollars
we just
circulate.
getting started.
Dollars circulate. Dollars circulate. Hey, dollars circulate. Dollars circulate. Dollars circulate. Dollars circulate.
It ain't uncommon to borrow $1. Invite me over to eat with your mama. I like the checks with the commas on commas. I want the checks with the commas on commas. It ain't uncommon to borrow $1. Invite me over to eat with your mama. I like the checks with the commas on commas. I want the checks with the commas on commas.
I need them dollars. Run me my half or I put a hole in your wallet. Cold case on my waist. You don't want these problems. Bank call said they running out of commas. That's on my mama. I'm steady mobbing. Posted up till I reach my profit margin. Cash money 9 into 1,000. Hustler, don't you hear my stomach growling? Dumb about it, I'm hungry. So I need them tender greens spilling off my plate. Cash on delivery, I raise the stakes. You a hate what I make just to pop out and I don't even show my face. So yeah, to count it all, gon' take about a minute. Don't claim the gang, ho, if you know you're not with it. Marijuana Senate, windows tinted, keep it low, cause you know these niggas can't wait to print it. Oh yeah.
It ain't uncommon to borrow $1. Invite me over to eat with your mama. I like the checks with the commas on commas. I want the checks with the commas on commas. It ain't uncommon to borrow $1. Invite me over to eat with your mama. I like the checks with the commas on commas. I want the checks with the commas on commas.
Dollars, hey, dollars circulate. Dollars circulate. Dollars circulate. Dollars circulate.
We're gonna keep celebrating dope women making history. Women's History Month. March, y'all know what it is. Best month of the year. I'm not biased. March babies, where you at?
Dollars circulate.
They said we wouldn't last if it was up to white Jesus. Started to believe it, started birthing and bleeding it. Oh, the lies y'all sold us. Oh, this poor love of ours, this gospel we sing, this little shine of mine, I'm gonna let it eat me up. I'm gonna let it kill me. Gonna let it fuck me up till I'm leaning, till I'm feeling, till I'm feeling better.
Wow. All the amazing women in hip
I
hop.
feel better now.
We've been here for a minute.
Cause I got it now. For me, for him, for her, for my grandmama who had to pick cotton, and my granddaddy who got lashed at, then laughed at, who you turned your back on, who you took your turn on for massa. I'm sorry, I'm kind of violent now. Tired now. Don't mean to disturb your peace, just needed a little piece of what you got when I helped you out for massa.
Welcome, Fly Women Making History.
Hot now. Not asking for permission, came back to see what's good now. Buying trillions by the pound, only real, selling only real, feel your fear, it's nice
all
out
day
fighting you.
by myself. But that's not what we are here for. Good evening. If it's evening for you, day, afternoon, morning, I don't know. It's Wednesday, March 24th, 2021, and we are still celebrating Women's History Month. And this makes day 3 of our 3-day series, Fly Women Making History, where HipHopEX is taking a moment to just nod some amazing women who are doing game-changing things out here in the world. So this being our last day, we got to bring it home strong. And so we are going to be talking with a phenomenal woman. We're talking about women who making things, they're paving the way. They are game changers. And so I'm super excited to get the show started or get this conversation series started, whether you're joining us in our Zoom room or on our Facebook or YouTube streams. We are excited to have you here with us. I am Aisha Upchurch. I am the founder and the director of HipHopEX. This is our 3rd year. We are an intergenerational lab project that seeks to create programming that centers hip hop, creating experiences for us to exchange and learn about the power and the beauty of that culture as it pertains to education, as it pertains to society, as it pertains to like everything. And so in this virtual world that we're in, we are committed to bringing really cool programming to you 1 week out of each month with a theme. This again being Women's History Month. Our programming this month is to continue to elevate amazing women, and not just in hip hop culture, but just dope women, period. So Monday, we talked to Juliana Calderon about mindfulness in schools. Yesterday, we spoke with Toni Blackman, the pioneering first hip hop ambassador, an MC and a cypher goddess who dropped many nuggets of wisdom. Today, y'all, we are going to be rocking with one Melissa Parke, who is the founder of the Black Teaching Artists Lab and the creator of the Afrocentric Social Emotional Learning Model. So Melissa is going to wrap with us today around why does she create these amazing programs and models, and how she's implementing them, how she's developing them to push us all to think about how as educators and even as students, we can think about a way to be designing teaching and learning with Black identity in mind, the Black identity of our students and even the Black identity of some educators. And so I'm super excited to chat with her to learn more about what went on for her to develop these amazing programs and resources. And so let me let y'all know a little bit more about Miss Melissa. Melissa Parke, she, her, is a Brooklyn-based artist. It's for all my BK homies. Founder of Black Teaching Artists Lab and creator of the Afrocentric Social Emotional Learning Method. She enjoys listening to, dissecting, and analyzing music from the likes of Dave Matthews, Incubus, Jay Dilla, Hieroglyphics, Square Pusher, Fugazi, Revolution, Soulja, The Sea and Cake, Cultura Prophetica, and many more. Diverse, right? Melissa recently joined the Teaching Artist Project Spring Cohort, a division of the Community Word Project, in order to better understand the teacher training process and to become a strong facilitator herself. Okay, wherever y'all at, go ahead, put your real hands and your virtual hands together for our extraordinary guest tonight, Melissa Parke. Come on to the scene. Where you at? Hey, vibing out. Oh, feels so good. All right, Melissa, you ready? Are you ready?
I am. One of my favorite songs.
Well, yeah, I love that you sent, here at HipHopEX, we try to get as theatricals as we can on these interwebs. We're artists. I'm used to being on the stage and doing this big introduction. So we ask people for their come out song. So why don't we get things started? Can you tell us about what is that song? Because you have a really beautiful, diverse range of music that you are listening to. So what's that song and why do you love it so much?
It is a song that was produced by Nujabes, who also worked with Jay Dilla. And I don't know, I just love it. I've always kind of grew up listening to Nujabes and his music, and anime and, hip hop and anime kind of go together. Definitely want to talk more about that. It's just a dope song. It's like instrumentals and just good vibes.
Yes, it is. Thank you for bringing it to us. I got the music. I was like, oh, this is about to be my new clean my house on Saturday music.
Yeah, that is. There should be a playlist. That should be on the playlist.
Absolutely. We need to ask people, what's your cleaning the house playlist
on a Saturday?
And listen, I'm sure, we could be racial, but not racist. And I'm sure that there are many different like racial and ethnic folks out there who can identify with cleaning the house rituals. But I'm like, as a Black human, I do feel like that's part of our rites of passage is to hear certain music and you're like, where the dustpan at?
Yeah, for sure. On the radio.
Actually, somebody on our Facebook stream wants to know what's the name of the song. So can you say it so I can write it for my homie Alicia here who wants to know?
It's Love 6, like SIX.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And who's the artist?
It's New Jabez.
You got to help your sister spell this.
Oh, it's NUJABES.
Boom, there it is. All right. Well, thank you. Now we got, yes, we're going to put that song on the list. And so, Melissa, I'm really excited to talk with you and just really have a conversation. Full transparency, Melissa and I just like kind of met. Shout out to all the new friends that we've made, all the new or V friends, virtual friends that we've made in these socially and physically distant times. And you reached out around the Black Teaching Artists Lab that you founded. So before we get there, I want to say your intro says you're a Brooklyn-based artist. So I want to know, what's your art medium or media?
That is such a good question. And actually, it actually ties really well into talking about Black Teaching Artist Lab. And I don't really know, and I don't think I even have a definition of what my art form is. Technically, I'm a bass player. I play the electric bass, so in music. But education is really my art form. Like I think creatively through education and how to create different ways of thinking for other folks and especially Black folks, and how to integrate that. So I would say music, technically, education, realistically, is kind of my art form.
Listen, technical and realistic, both are dope. And so do you play? Do you sing? Are you going to give us a couple of notes?
I mean, I technically could sing, but I'm not good. I mean, anyone could sing, but like,
have you heard my older brother? Everybody can't sing. Shout out. Sorry, brother. You know what your limitations are.
I know I can't. I wish I could sing. Anyone that could sing, I'm always like low key jealous. Like people say you shouldn't be jealous of people, but I'm always jealous of people who could sing well. Like, doesn't that get you mad that when people could?
If I opened my mouth one day and I sounded like Jennifer Hudson, I would never talk again.
Exactly. And I want to be mad at the person that could do that, but that's not me, unfortunately. But I mean, I think I'm a pretty decent bass player. Hopefully, when I get my bass, it's cool. I got into it in high school when I didn't want to go to gym class, so I convinced my math teacher to teach me how to play bass, and she knew how to play bass, so I got getting out of gym and played bass. So thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Look it. And also, I just want to say shout out to that creative problem solving skill set that you show. We sometimes, and again, like Alicia's saying on Facebook, education as an art form. I don't think a lot of us grew up looking at it that way, but just to even think about, like, sometimes our young people, their day-to-day behaviors and habits, some of that is showing us assets that they have. So that creative problem solving, like, you didn't want to go to gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like, I don't want to go to gym, rah, rah, rah. You had something in you that says, I am a creator. I have a creative spirit. I'm going to create some type of solution, some type of workaround. And clearly that is still with you today, because you are creating innovative solutions to challenges that maybe some folks don't even see are challenges, and they're just like, man, this is just how it is. This is just how it is. So I just think that sometimes we got to listen and look at our young people and ask ourselves, are we just seeing their behavior in terms of what it doesn't fit by what we told it should be looking like? Or are we looking at, because my family will tell you I was real bossy as a little kid. Maybe that's true, probably. But I like to say that I was just exhibiting early leadership potential.
Leadership, yeah. You were strong.
I was really good at delegating.
Yes. just switching the language up,
You know?
But yeah, that I think I was fortunate enough to have like a really good, all right, school experience I went to Bears Prep, and it was a preparatory school, and like I was the only Black kid, but it was very creative and very inclusive. And it was also, I got to school in 2001 and it started in 1999. So they were trying to be creative, and their whole mantra was building the whole child. And they were trying to figure that out. So I had teachers trying to figure out a new way of thinking, and we were kind of like the test dummies, sort of. I shouldn't say that, but it's kind of true.
Y'all were the OGs.
Yeah. We were the OGs for sure. And experiencing that, like a lot of my friends from high school grew up to be educators. Like we all became educators because we sort of saw like the progression of how, this school went. So I think a lot of what I'm doing is also a product of
absolutely.
So it was really cool.
That's beautiful.
Really interesting
that you had that kind of modeling. And like, I think that's a whole little dissertation right in there, that like many of your friends that had that same formative schooling experience that was ripe for opportunities to experiment, to innovate, to try, are now in education. Versus if we think of lots of folks who had the opposite experience, who were like, these teachers hate us. I hate school. I ain't going near a school building the moment I can get out of here. Right. Yeah. And so, I think that's so telling, Melissa, and I'm glad. I hope people are listening to that little nugget that you just dropped. So you're a bass player. You got a couple of notes in you. You had this beautiful, you were some OGs of a new schooling method. And then some years later, you wake up on a Tuesday and you're like, the Black Teaching Artist Lab.
If only it was that easy.
Okay, so it wasn't that easy, but can you tell us, one, for folks who might not be clear with the language, all right? I don't want to, but don't zoom past vocabulary, pun intended, because I'm funny. But I know what teaching artist, what that language means. I know what that field means, but and I know that you're part of the Teaching Artist project. Can you offer folks your definition of what we mean by teaching artists?
My definition is super simple. An artist who teaches. Like very, very simple. Be artists who teaches in the community. There's teaching artists who are in the schools that act as that bridge between the culture and the subjects. Teaching artists that work in nursing homes. So any artist who teaches, basically, that's kind of the super simplified version of it. When it boils down to it, there's like a whole jargon thing that is nonsensical, but anyone who teaches art.
I like that. I think also because I get asked, well, what's the difference in the arts teacher in a school? And what I would add to that is that I think what's really defining about a teaching artist is their arts practice is still very much alive and going on and part of their whole identity.
Yeah.
Where some folks, they may have learned about a craft and are teaching what they know, or they were immersed in it, but have let it go and are just still teaching the about. So a teaching artist is like, I'm still out here kickball changing. I'm still out here playing riffs. I'm still out here painting. I'm still out here sculpting. And I'm in different contexts, not just the traditional kind of K-12 school building setting. And so, because I know sometimes people, and it's not meant to be like versus, right? We're educators. True. We're educators. But like, I personally believe, I don't know if you believe this, I feel like more people interested in education should have to get dumped into the pool of either being a teaching artist or being a community ed. Because when you're a teaching artist, you don't know a lot about the children's backgrounds because legally we're not allowed to. You don't know, like, is your room going to actually be a room, or are you in the hallway on the linoleum teaching tap? And so it teaches you off the bat, like, how to be creative and responsive and design an environment where people can feel like pushed. So I think if folks didn't know that teaching artists we cut our teeth a different way.
Yeah, it's because I've never been in, I've been an educator like as like a preschool teacher or like a head of a classroom, but as a teaching artist, like I haven't been in that position as of yet in a classroom. And just to, I don't know, for me, I think personally from what I've seen, like the I think I mean maybe some people will disagree with me, but like the respect level, you know, because teaching artists may not have gone to get their masters in arts, fine arts education, you know, like they don't have like that kind of they may not. So it's the level of respect that's, you know, that I feel like is still there in the bureaucracy in the school system. And also they don't get paid the same and they don't have insurance. It's a whole thing.
They do not get paid the same. They do not have insurance. But they're out here with your young people and your older people. They're out here with people doing amazing things.
Yeah.
And I just want to shout out, I know TAP, I know the Guild, Community Guild on Teaching Artists, like there are lots of organizations that are advocating for teaching artists, for folks to understand, like when a teaching artist says why they're charging what they charge is because it comes from somewhere. And we may not have gone to school to be licensed as licensed educators, but what we are doing are nonetheless is rigorous, nuanced teaching and curriculum design. And so I think, you know, raising that and so thinking about all of that, I'm really thinking about, like, as for Black identifying teaching artists, as someone who identifies as Black, what is it that stood out to you that goes, we need a particular space to support each other, to learn with and from each other? What led you to creating and tell us a little bit more about what the Black Teaching Artist Lab is? What led you there? What is it?
Okay, yeah. So I guess the Black Teaching Artist Lab is basically an incubator for Black teaching artists who's interested in understanding their Black identity, using their art medium in order to have better conversations with their communities and have better relationship skills and better teach their Black learners using the Afrocentric social emotional learning model that I used and created. And what led me to do it, I guess, is my own lack of understanding about the Black culture, which like sounds ridiculous, but I mean, my parents came from the Caribbean. My dad's Jamaican, my mom's Trinidadian. It's very typical like immigrant story of like you work hard, you play hard, not play hard, but like you work hard, you get what you want, right? And we kind of always grown up in that mentality. And then we always went to private school, so you kind of, you know, be around people who had money. So like the Black experience was so, you know, foreign to me. And I really understand it until, you know, I got out of college. And, you know, I went to a really white college, Fairfield University. And then I transferred to St. Joseph's, which is a Catholic university college. And it was also really white. Even though I lived in Brooklyn, I do live in a really white part of Brooklyn. So like the picture's painted. And, you know, I started going to these ciphers. There's this guy that like has a deli, and he was like, hey, like there's this really cool place in Brooklyn, like you could hang out, like this guy's gonna rap, he like lives in our neighborhood. And I was like, okay, sounds cool. So like me and my friend, we went to this place, and it was like the coolest vibe ever. And like people were rapping, and they were rapping over like Jay Dilla's beat. Like everyone was rapping over his beat. And I was like, this is really cool. And then, you know, I met someone there, and I was like, oh my God, like you're beautiful. And like, we had like a thing. And then he took me to another cipher, which was a cipher from, it was like in Harlem, but the Last Poet. I don't know if you know who the Last Poet, but it was one of the guys who was in the Last Poet. And that just kind of started this like ripple effect of meeting these really cool people and meeting all these rappers in New York City. And I wanted to do something about it. And I didn't know what to do. So I wrote a story, and I was like, okay, like I have this story, what else can I do? And I thought of, creating a magazine. So I literally made a magazine called The New Counterculture. People didn't tell me that there's no money that's made in magazines in 2017. So that was dumb. And I just, I had this idea still. And, I was like, I really am passionate about music and really like what I created. And I don't know, I just met the people at the right time. I met some folks from Teachers and Writers, which is a part of the Community Word Project. And I was telling them about this, and they encouraged me to kind of formulate this into the Black Teaching Artist Lab. So that's just kind of like the whole thing of just kind of, finding myself and trying to find space within the Black community that I didn't feel like I belonged. So yeah, that's kind of it. Just
thank you for sharing that story of, just a nice segue from like yesterday and talking about the cipher with Tony Blackman and how it's such this beautiful, it's like a literal space, but there's also something like spiritual that's happening when people are gathered in the circle and seeing each other and exchanging and building. And it's such a cornerstone of like hip hop culture. And to think about how going to the ciphers for you became this invitation to investigate, like, what more can I learn and embrace around my Black identity, which you totally, like, Black identity surpasses that of the US, right? We're talking about like people of the African diaspora, but what does it mean in a US context, which then also has geographical dialects, if you will, to the US Black identity. But it's this invitation that you found and going to this cipher, and hip hop was there, and these amazing musicians were there to go, okay, dear Melissa, what more can Melissa get to know about each other? And in fact, what can I create so that other folks who maybe feel like they need some support tapping into the richness of their Black and Black identity can be? So I just applaud that, like, you're like, I don't know. It's like that same, but it's all connected, right? Like, I don't want to go to gym class. How can I create something that's like, it's that same creator spirit. It's that same creative energy. So after magazine life was like, and you're at Community Word Project and you're getting this support and encouragement to begin Black Teaching Artist Lab. Can you just let us know, like, today, like, what, and then like today, right? Like, virtual world, what does it look like? Where do y'all meet? Like, but tell us, like, what are the activities? What's the goals? Like, just let folks know more about BTAL.
Yeah,
I just said BTAL.
I like
that.
I did. Like, I actually wanted it to be Black Teaching Exchange. Like, I was so mad. Like, BTE was like so perfect, but when I was trying to start up like the LLC, like there was a problem with exchange because of money, and I was like not trying to go through the New York City financial stuff. Like, no, but BTAL. It's an incubator for Black teaching artists. But what is really unique is the Afrocentric social emotional learning.
Yeah, talk to us about this.
Which is 100% mine. I own it. I trademarked it. So
pause. She said she Oprah'd it, y'all.
Oprah. It is.
That's why I was playing Oprah. I was playing Oprah from Rhapsody's album when we got on. Because Oprah's thing is like, own your stuff.
Own. Like, yeah, own. I own it. So yeah, I copywritten all of the materials. So so that's my framework. And basically I don't know if you're familiar with the social emotional learning framework. But folks who don't know what it is, just quickly, it's a way in which teachers, especially art educators now, are talking about how do we address the needs of the whole child, right? How do we build social skills? How do we have them be more self-aware and have responsible decision-making? Breathing techniques don't necessarily work for kids who, I don't know, get stopped and frisked when they, go come from school, maybe. But we have to start thinking about realistically what are some of the issues that are happening with our Black learners as educators, and what are ways in which we could use art or other tools to have these kind of conversations. So that's essentially why I created the Afrocentric Social Emotional Learning Framework. And yeah, I think that's one big aspect of it. And the other really cool aspect is the Pan-African Cultural Exchange, which will soon be trademarked by me, which is a program that I'm starting and hopefully doing with some folks, and bringing some teachers who are trained in the Afrocentric SEL model, bringing them down to different parts of the diaspora, so Puerto Rico, or Belize, or hopefully Cuba or Trinidad, and doing a cultural exchange and having them experience, what does it mean to be Black in other parts of the diaspora? What does it mean to be Black in Trinidad? And talking about, I'm part Trinidadian, but there is racism there. There's a fine line between the way you look, and you wouldn't even think that if you aren't from the island, right? In Puerto Rico right now, there's Afro Latino X and folks there who, there is a long history of racial tension, but right now, there are tensions between the US and Puerto Rico because of, people coming and, because of COVID and the tax, they're having less tax in Puerto Rico. So it's learning about the history of the place, and also, how colonialism really affected, the other parts of the diaspora, and talking about that, and being Black. So that's like the main part.
I mean, I love that one. And I love, again, that you are a consummate creator. And really,
I don't know if that's like creative.
Well, no, you created BTAL, you created the Afrocentric SEL, you're creating and trademarking the Pan-African
cultural
exchange. But I think that's I want to lift that up and give you your roses. One, because that's what we do, and two, for us also, I think it's also it might seem overstated, but it's a really beautiful example of we are creative people, and being Black is not being less than, right? And so to celebrate what's in us as creators and to see that model, I think, is also very important, because sometimes schooling, or maybe often, frequently, always, does a really great job of kind of hazing our brilliance out of us, or making us second guess, because there's a script that was put into place around what intelligence looks like and what it means to comport yourself in a socially appropriate way, which again was coded by, I think, a lot of ways that don't fit non-Black bodies either. And so for us to realize that those assets that we have as creators, as producers, as singers, dancers, as caretakers, as all of that needs to be celebrated. And that is one, I think, it's another time for another show. I have some thoughts and feels around social emotional learning, because quite honestly, all learning is social and emotional. So I feel like it's a thing, but it's getting celebrated as a thing because so much of schooling ignored it for so long that now they're trying to catch up. But as you're pointing out, it's ignoring some of the assets that our children of the African diaspora are bringing because of their cultural DNA. So, for you to propose and create a framework that goes, let's look at what Black identifying young people need and what they bring, and how this is maybe something that the traditional SEL framework is not able, it's not designed to, and it's just not able to look at. So I wonder, Melissa, are there some tenets or some key bullet points? Do you want to, I know you had a workshop yesterday, Melissa out here creating things, and I'm doing a workshop and it's sold out. Yes, because you're creating brilliant things. So I know that you've just gone through this, but I wonder for tonight, for folks, if you have anything you can share or show or walk us through the main points of the Afrocentric SEL model.
Sure, I could share with you. Am I a co-host? Can I share?
You can share.
Okay, let
share
me
share your love.
I'll just share. Maybe I could just share with you the first competency of.
She said, "Look, y'all can't get all of this for free." Okay.
Okay. I forgot. Okay, let's see. let's present. Okay, so there are 5 competencies for the Afrocentric social emotional learning model. So it's Afrocentric self-awareness, Afrocentric self-management, Afrocentric social awareness, and Afrocentric relationship skills, and Afrocentric responsible decision making, right? And the first one that we focus on is Afrocentric self-awareness, which is the ability to understand one's own emotions through thoughts, values, and identity, how these elements can influence behaviors across contexts, and how one is ultimately perceived by society because of the color of their skin. As we all know that people are Black have issues going into spaces because of the color of their skin. And 3 of the major spaces is schools, media, and society. So in schools, Black students face excessive suspensions, under referrals to gifted education, which is something I honestly didn't really think about until I did my research, like being in gifted classrooms as a Black student, like that. I don't know, maybe because I wasn't gifted. I don't really think about it, but it's actually true, and something that we should really think about. Excessive policing of Black bodies from head to toe as early as preschool. White educators who harbor blatant and explicit negative expectations of Black students due to media, and the adultification and dehumanization of Black children from preschool through high school. And this is just a picture from the Center of Black Educator Development, the Center Blacken. They're a really cool organization out in Philly who train Black educators. They're basically like doing way more than I'm doing right now on a larger scale. I admire them a lot. They're doing really, really great work. Also, we see it in the media as well. Black people faced a lack of dignified representation of the media, negative stereotypes like an angry Black woman, we all know. Poor portrayal of their race in film, often leading to negative stereotypes, and Eurocentric ideals of beauty, damaging the self-esteem of Black people. Black Panther kind of, it was cool at that time to be unified all together through Black Panther, and it's not only like a Black film, but it was like it was a film that everybody enjoyed.
It was a Black film.
It was, you know what I mean? Like, okay, never mind. I'm gonna just move past it. We all know. As society, Black people face lack of representation in the media and the workplace. You see that when you actually get your braids, or dreads, you actually get cut off. I'm so thankful I never got that experience, but if I did, that would be very traumatizing. I mean, I don't know. Negative stereotypes leading to negative consequences. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm not skinny. So being in places at a certain time, could be tricky. Feeling of discomfort in white dominant spaces. Going to a lot of concerts for me. Like, there's not a lot of people who's Black and like Dave Matthews. Like, that is just not a thing. And microaggressions and discriminations. People say I sound white all the time, but I don't know what that even means. So
we need to cut that out.
I know. It's
just had to jump in there. And that's the impact of the mindset of everyone, not just non-Black people, and how anti-Blackness even pervades our own speak within the community.
Yeah.
I got that a lot as a kid at school, and I'm just like,
did you get it mostly
seen what I look like? I know I'm Black.
Did you get it mostly with white people or mostly with Black?
Both.
Yeah.
Which was very confusing.
Yeah, it is confusing. It's it's one of the feelings.
But look at these receipts though.
True. So what does this look like in art, right? So how do I explore my individual identity as well as my Black identity in art? And dance practices can help Black learners better understand aspects of their own personalities, individual emotions, thoughts, values, behaviors, while further discovering their Black identity. Rehearsing a West African dance, for example, can encourage Black learners to use their bodies in order to convey internal emotions or ideas. We see this with Beyonce's her king, like she did like a visual with a lot of West African artists. And I don't know if we
Black is King.
Black is, yeah, Black is King. And then we have, I don't know if I could play this. Oh, okay. But this is a really cool visual of using your body.
Still struggling to see the sun. Too heavy for a heart line. Save
much as I want to see all of it, isn't it so good?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Have you seen
right?
it? What?
That's Late Twins, right?
Yes. Isn't it so good?
I mean, I love watching them dance, but I'm thinking about what I saw. I'm also looking at the people around them, right?
Yeah.
And like also thinking about that
contortion.
Just how you can't help be pulled in by this person able to really literally stand and move and fierce ownership of their identity and giving themselves so much permission to be and to express, right, through movement. And, you know, as a dancer, like, you know, that's my whole soapbox is like, it's such a gift.
Yeah.
It's storytelling. It's history in the movement. It's beautiful. And it's not just, oh, that's just cool dance that people do to popular music. No, there's technique, there's study, there's traditions. There are traditions that have made it across the Atlantic. And for folks to get in touch with those traditions through different movement, like it's beautiful, it's necessary, right? Yeah. You know, listen, Frankie Beverly and Maze, come on, you got a red cup, what you gonna do? You hitting that soul train. I mean, you hitting that electric slide. What? It's so that's because there's something that we need to feel in that movement, and especially with each other. So listen, this your show. Let me shut up because I could go.
What you're saying is exactly what we need as educators, right? We need to so these questions are exactly what, you know, I want educators to, you know, answer. It's like, how do I understand my individual identity as well as my Black identity through my art practices? If you are a Black educator, or if you are a white educator or not Black, how do I understand, how comfortable am I to show, you know, these images into my classroom, right? So we can gauge how comfortable you are talking about Black culture, right? Or how do I begin to imagine using these practices to design an activity for my Black learners? So just framing those questions and thinking about, you know, how am I introducing Black culture into the classroom? That's essentially it's kind of what we do.
I love it. So you take for each one of those 5 core competencies, it was 5, right? Mm-hmm. I got 5 on it. Okay. I had to. But for each of those 5 competencies, you have these guiding questions and you're centering artistic practice in that.
So yeah, I have like a teacher, like a teaching artist, and the teaching artist could be a dancer, it could be like a playwright, it could be a yogi, like whatever art form they are. And I teach what it is, and they teach what it looks like in art. So it looks different in different art forms. So, you know, each workshop looks completely different every time we do it.
I I want to be a fly on the wall in a workshop.
It's so cool. That's what I like about a framework. And I think was our first conversation. It really stuck with me the way that you talked about the framework, and you said it like a framework. A frame is meant to be orienting a picture, right? Like it's not.
Yeah, listen, in academia, of course, yes, I'm at Harvard, but I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, okay, all the time. I swear I thought I knew what a frame and a framework was, and I didn't pay that much attention to it. But once you enter like academia, like jargon, again, like language can be used as a weapon of liberation or a tool for oppression. And sometimes I think some of the vocabulary that gets tossed around, like you can feel like, oh, this is too high for me. I must not know what a framework is again. But then I was like, yo, let me bring it back to very literal kinesthetic Aisha. And I was like, a picture frame, right?
Yeah.
We look at a wall. The wall is the wall. When I put a frame on it, I'm telling you how to direct your eye around that certain amount of space, right? Yeah. So the whole of learning is learning. Your framework, as beautiful, super rich, is directing us how to consider when we're dealing with Black learners, right? Teaching and learning, education still exists. Here's one framework to help us like center in on what's important to capture here. And I think there's other powerful frameworks, right? That this can exist in conversation with, right? But it's to help us think about what are we missing by not having this framework. And that's what I love about what you're doing, is you're going for our Black teaching artists. Again, teaching artists who might get thrown into the, like, I never knew I was going to be in front of people teaching. I need some support. Or I'm also trying to understand how my identity, how my racial, ethnic identity is impacting how I'm teaching, right? Because let's be clear, just because you're Black doesn't mean you get a pass from ever doing something terrible.
True.
Had amazing Black educators, and I've had some not so great ones. Harm is an equal opportunity offender. And so I love it that what you're developing is a space for teaching artists, for Black teaching artists to feel supported and safe structure to investigate for self as they are developing practices that are going to impact students. Because you had a really innovative schooling experience, which gave you some really good soil and seeds to go, I can go out to the world and create things. So I'm thinking about the students that are going to benefit from the teaching artists that are part of the lab using this framework, who are going to be like, yo, maybe education is not here to beat me up because I had amazing Black teaching artists. So you're doing some major seed planting here, sis.
Well, thank you. I mean, I hope I am. But I also want just to add on to that I've never had a Black teacher, period. Like never, ever. And there aren't a lot of us out there. So it's important to, encourage folks who are artists who, I mean, not all artists need to teach, but artists who, my selling point is like, hey, like if you learn this framework, you could go to Puerto Rico and like do this in Puerto Rico too, but you have to come back and also teach, right? So I really want that to also be something I want to emphasize, that we do want and is a goal for us in the long term, is that we want to train folks who are Black and may not have thought in a million years, like, I didn't do well in school, I can never be an educator. It's like, look, like, I mean, I got kicked out of school, I did, like, and I'm here, and like I have problems reading, like my reading comprehension is bad, so everyone comes, or
what they forced you to read and told you how to comprehend is the problem. I'm here to problematize the system, not you, because that's also what's happening to so many of our babies who are kinesthetic learners, who have so many other ways, who are musical, who need to move while learning, but it goes, oh, they have a fill in the blank issue.
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, I'm gonna just tell you, I got good grades in school, but I don't remember 95% of it because it just was not like, I'm sorry, Scarlet Letter, I'm sure it was a seminal piece of literature, but really, I jumped double dutch from Northside St. Louis. What did that?
Right.
It was not fun. It felt torturous.
Yeah.
So do I pick up a novel now? Rarely. And so just to think about how sometimes the way we are forcing students to show what they know is the problem, not that the student has a problem. Because clearly you have amazing abilities to create things. I'm going to keep telling because I feel like you don't believe me. So I'm going to keep telling it till you feel uncomfortable and then comfortable and you accept it. Your ability to create, to see it, read a situation, to go, I know that I don't know everything, but there's something in me saying I should create something that will help me and help others.
Yeah.
That don't got nothing to do with an SAT score, but that's more important. So you better take these roses, Melissa. Don't make me come down to Brooklyn.
I know, I'm just trying to be humble, you know, like it's a lot going on.
Don't play that Kendrick Lamar song right now. Don't be humble.
It's, you know, but it's all exciting, you know. I'm, you know, trying to be an entrepreneur and you know, doing Black Girl Magic. It's cool, like getting out of COVID, having a business is I don't know.
Would you please say that with like now I'm about to like, okay, put your fictitious crown on your head. I'm gonna have to send you a crown from Amazon. I bought one.
Did you really?
I did. Because when you put it on, it makes your posture do this. No, and I can't have negative self-talk while I have that thing on my head because it'll fall off.
That's a good way of doing that.
So I know your address. I'm gonna send you a crown and you're gonna put it on and you're gonna say, I created a business in the middle of COVID. I created a framework so that our students and our educators can extol our brilliance as Black people and not feel like that is an aside that we have to hide. And you're going to say that with your crown on, and then you're going to take the crown off and you're still going to say it. And you're going to own it.
Maybe. I will. No, I own it. I'm proud. I'm excited.
Good. Listen, I know that like, things are still in their early phase. Yeah. Right. And so do you have a vision of where you want to see things go in the next academic or even like real calendar? But I don't even know. Do we know what a real calendar is anymore? It's been 20 months since I hugged a person. What's going on? I don't know. What's your next goals?
My goal. So we're planning on going to Puerto Rico next year. So like that's a goal.
I'm going to Puerto Rico next year. That's what I heard.
Yeah. We're going to Puerto Rico next year. Yeah, you want to come? Okay, come. So that's what we're doing. We got our first partnership from an organization in Puerto Rico. So that's already set. So I'm excited about that. Just like hopefully working with schools and other organizations, bringing that Afrocentric social emotional awareness, social emotional learning into the school system. Hopefully working with the DOE. I think that's it. I mean, I'm really just doing really solid things for first month of being, like, this is our first official month operating. So we're doing pretty well. Well, I'm doing pretty well. It's me doing it. So
me, myself, and I is a we, honey.
Yeah, it's a we. It's a we. But yeah, I think just being diligent and thankful and, you know, counting your blessings. And, you know, I also have to acknowledge the people who have helped me through. I mean, of course you do, and many other fabulous people who've taken their time to just mentor me. Like I didn't go to school necessarily for social emotional learning, and I learned it on my own. I had a lot of educators guide me through the process, and same with, you know, owning a business. So I accredit a lot of my success to people who have taken the time to help me, but also I have to give myself some credit because I did listen and I implemented the things that they told me to do. So a lot of people do that. So I have to give myself credit for that. Yes. For sure. And just my family, and, you know, because I'm old as hell and I'm in my bedroom in their house. So I mean, like, hey, whatever. We're Caribbean, it's different, you know, like.
Listen, you better be glad Zoom hasn't figured out how to let me pinch people. I pinch people when they start self-deprecating.
I don't think it's self-deprecating.
You're like, because I'm old and we here, but what you got to understand is, well, and listen, Well, listen, I am getting, listen, Amazon is my significant other. So I'm gonna go and talk to Amazon. Zani is what I like to call him.
Ooh, that's cute name. That's cute. That's cute.
Zani, I'm gonna go ask Zani to send you a crown.
Okay.
You need to put it on your head to remind yourself that you are creating beautiful work. And I love how you're shouting out people. And folks on Facebook are like giving lots of props. And so if folks want to keep up with you, with the project, like there's a lot of people who are like, hey, I heard you want to come into the school. Good, because we need somebody to help us, right?
I will come.
Right. So how can people find you? Because you name the goals that you're trying to get to. So listen, if I can just use this platform, how can people find you to be like, hey, Melissa, I do this. Let's talk. Where can people find you?
Please, I have a website. It's called blackteachingartistlab.com. But as of recently, we just started our Instagram and we're trying to get that up. So like if you want to follow at what's it called? Black Teaching Artist Lab.
Wait, what's the website again? Because I'm writing it in the
same thing. It's the same
Black Teaching Artist Lab. Is it artist?
Artist, like single. Like
artist, boom, lab.
And my email is info@black Teaching Artist Lab. It's like a tongue twister. I like the name, but it's a long name.
My auntie just said, wear that crown.
Oh.
And when Auntie Merlin says, wear that crown, she mean it.
Oh my God. Thanks, Auntie. Appreciate it.
Listen, like yes, Zani, I told you, I'm telling you, that crown changed my life. I wear it. Sometimes doesn't make sense. Wear it while I'm working out. But I'm so glad to have befriended you through these pandemonium times, and just find another amazing human being who's like, listen, our schooling system, formal, informal, whatever you want to call it, has some really gaping holes in it. And even though these times are very challenging, you've dipped into your creative spirit, and I love linking with people. So I'm going to continue to be a supporter and an advocate for folks in the New York DOE. If you're listening, if you got connections, I know a few people who might. She's like, hey, help me get in. I also think for any teaching artists, first, any Black artists who are practitioners who have a curiosity around teaching and want some support. Listen, there's a space for you. A lot of people fall into teaching because they got to figure out something to do. You don't plan on teaching your craft, but then you find yourself in it. And I think sometimes we think it doesn't matter. It's little kids. That stuff matters because that means that's longer that they've got to try to undo bad stuff if you're not taking it seriously. So if you don't even think that you might fall into education, like this is another resource for any of our practicing artists to just get to know, like, what would I have to do to like teach this and keep Black identity in the positive forefront. So you have really dropped a lot of beautiful gems.
You sold my program better than I do.
Listen, we recorded this, so you can write it down, and you can use it.
110%. That was
just take me
beautiful.
To Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I will.
She said she gonna take me to Puerto Rico.
We're going to Puerto Rico. No worries.
Ashe. It's happening. My passport is ready.
You don't even need a passport.
Well, I might go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Go Trinidad.
Okay, I'll go visit your homeland. But Melissa, again, thank you so much for sharing your time, your talent, your energy with us. Amazing way to close out our series this week, celebrating innovative, game-changing women, of which you are one. For folks, keep your eyes peeled. Next month, every month, we dedicate 1 week to thematic programming, and we are going to have a conference. Our 5th annual Can't Stop Hip Hop Conference is coming to you all at the end of May. So just stay on the lookout for more information. But I'm Aisha, and I'm just thanking everybody for joining us for the week. Thanks again to Juliana Calderon, to Tony Blackman, and again to you, Melissa Parke. Everybody be well, dance it out, and go check out www.blackteachingartistlab.com. All right. Bye, y'all. Okay.
Are we still live?